like put more trust in what it is that we're creating and what we're doing, rather than anything else. Yeah, so my name is Brigham Salazar. My shop is Superior Automotive Details. We're located Riverdale, Utah. So it's pretty close to Salt Lake City, Utah. So when people ask, I just tell them Salt Lake City because that's like the most common area in Utah. So yeah, Riverdale it's gotten busy. You know, we've been there 5 years now. So like there's not just a focal type of people. I mean, you have family oriented people, you have business people. And like I tell people, I'm like, believe it or not, there's like some pretty high-end people that live just in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? And it's becoming almost like a little mini California. Yeah. Cost of living is going up. So with that, I mean, it comes with seeing some cooler cars. It comes with seeing more exotics and things like that. So it's definitely, it's changed from where we started of doing like minivans a lot of the times, or doing a lot of like Ford Explorers, to now like we're seeing Porsches, Lambos, like a lot of EV as well. So yeah, it's been cool. So I let them know, we look at their car and everything like that, and kind of just get a feel for them. We love talking. So I really try to establish like professionalism but education at the same time in regards to what we can do. A lot of car washes say ceramic coating, and so they're like, oh, I got a ceramic coating on my car wash, I get it every week. And I'm like, hey, let me educate you. I'm like, and they're, you know, they might have some sort of ceramic, but let me show you something that's more permanent. Yeah. And instead of you spending money every month or whatever, like let's get you in every quarter, and we'll maintain it so that way it's hands-free. And I mean, it's just giving them the options and the accessibility to have more of their time, but then fall in love with their car and come back to us. So yeah. Like I guess it's always been my dad. You know, my dad, he came to the U.S. when he was 18 years old, way back in the day, you know, and he used to actually work here in L.A., and he would work for a garage a valet garage. And so he was like, man, and it was old school boats and old school cars back then, you know, kind of like this Mercedes right here. And he would tell me just stories about the type of cars that he would park, the amount of money that they would give him, and how they would treat him, you know. And I mean, it's a little different because it's, you know, back then it wasn't as bad as it is right now, you know, as far as like the way people judge you and things like that. So he was just like, he's like, I'm driving cars that I probably will never afford, and I'm parking them, and he's like, I just have a respect for them, you know. And so ever since an early age, it was just respect for the vehicles, respect for body lines, respect for paint, respect for everything. It was one of those things that I was like, you know, one of these days I'm gonna get a cool ride. And you know, lo and behold, when I was 15, I was able to purchase a 1997 S10 SS. And I won't ever forget it because my dad went with me and everything. And we picked it up. I picked it up, and it was, oh man, it was low miles, the engine, the exclusivity of it being an SS, an actual SS. It was one of those things where I was like, the excitement there was, it was unreal because my dad was with me. That was also the first time I got pulled over. I got pulled over for driving too slow because the first thing I did was put wheels and dropped it. Like I love, you know, the lower vehicles, and so I got pulled over for going too slow, and my dad was there with me to see it, you know, and I put money into that car, like that truck, like no other. Like, and this was, I'm 35 now, and this was 20 years ago, you know, and so I remember that because it's a lot of my my passion and everything I learned from my dad, you know, and so it's a little hard right now just because my dad did pass this last November. So it took an impact on my business, and I almost didn't come to Verge just because I also bought a house in September, and I have a lot of responsibilities, and the last thing I wanted to do was ever give up on my business because my dad, he always pushed me, you know, he always pushed me to accomplish it, you know, being an immigrant here, you know, coming when I was 6 months old to the U.S. and stuff, and having to learn culture shock, everything like that. But Like I tell him I don't want anything to keep me down. I don't want anything to hold me back. And he's the reason I keep going, because I know he saw me at my best. He saw me buy a house. I bought a house based on the hard work that I did with my shop. Like just there's so much there that for me, it's like, it's my home. When I go to the shop, I'm a one-man shop still, but I put on my headphones, I start polishing, and it's therapeutic 100% for me. Yeah. Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that, because 7 years ago, actually I think it was last week, I got a reminder on Facebook that said, hey, you've been friends with Steven Castellanos for 7 years. And he's actually here today. I met him through a Facebook page that I had created in Utah when I started detailing, which was just to get the detailers together, so we could help each other, things like that, because there was nothing out there. And like I said, 7 years ago, and then I met him and he gave me products for free. He gave me products for free. I went to his house, met with him, and it's funny because my wife's like, man, we're gonna be here for a while, because he's another detailer, and he was working out of his home at that time too. And I just had so many questions, because I was kind of new with actually doing a business, right? And so he had all the Rupus polishers, he had, I mean, you name it, he had a wall, he just had the whole little garage decked out. And I was like, man, like I want that, you know, like I'd already I'd already had a bunch of stuff starting out or whatnot, but I was like, I need to take it to the next level. And this guy seems like the guy that can help me take to the next level that I want to be. So we became friends. He actually introduced me to CARPRO products because he had been using them. He wasn't an installer yet. And so I started using it, you know, I started learning Iron X. I started learning way more than what I had ever learned with even having my truck. You know, like I was hand waxing, I was doing all this thinking I was doing great work, but come to see, like there's a bigger world than what I had been exposed to, you know? And so along with him, he introduced me to other installers and stuff, to people to follow on social media. And I was just like, wow, like it's cool. Just the caliber of work, the caliber of the shops. I mean, there's so many shops out there that I was just like, I have ADHD, so I'm always looking at something, you know, and everything was just catching my eye. And I still wasn't messing around with ceramic coatings or even a lot of paint correction. Like I knew how to polish, but it wasn't like at the level that it is now, right? Or anything like that, or wet sanding or anything like that. And so I was still scared of picking up a polisher and everything like that. And this dude was like, hey man, like let's go, you know? And I told him, I was like, hey man, why don't you detail anymore? Because at the moment he was kind of off on it, right? And then I started working out of the house, my parents' house, because I was still living at my parents', and it just took off. But it bit me, that bug bit me, and I was just like, wow. And so then going with Steven, we started working on different jobs. He introduced me to coatings, he introduced me to just more technique that he had learned, and it was done after that. I ended up busting, just trying to get as much as I could, ended up getting a shop. I got him back into detailing, so he started detailing again. So I would go to his shop because he ended up getting a shop after me again, and so he got right back into it too. And so, yeah, man, it just took off from there. Like he's like, hey man, I need help. Hey, hey man, I need help. You know, so we would go back and forth, and we're kind of like, it was probably like an hour in between, like distance wise, and we would just do the trek just to work with each other and stuff. My first Verge, actually when I first got certified, I was vibing with one of the guys in my class, Kevin, right away, you know, and he was super young, you know, he was 21, barely turned 21. And I looked at him and I was like, damn, dude, like I wish I would have joined when I was 21, or I was doing this when I was 21, because I don't even know how far I'd be, you know what I mean? I'm like, but everything happens at the right time. But then when we came to Verge, in Orange County at Mo's shop, I mean, right away I started clicking with everyone. I started saying hi to everybody, and it felt comfortable because I joke a lot, I clown a lot, like I'm out there, you know, and a lot of these dudes, like they saw it and they caught my drift, and then they started doing the same thing. So I was like, all right, this is cool, you know what I mean? Like, and there's dudes from New York, Florida, I mean, Hawaii. I mean, these dudes, we all live in different areas, but at the end of the day, I can call them. And since I met them, I send them messages, I send them texts, like hey dude, I need help with this. Hey, I need help. Or they hit me up. Hey, I need, what do you think? You know, and it's been able to like put more trust in what it is that we're creating and what we're doing, rather than anything else. So it's dope. It's a dope family. Like it's especially right now with like what happened, like the life change that I have. I can reach out to any of these dudes and I know they'll be there for me, you know, and a lot of them did. They reached out to me in the time of need and a time that I didn't know what I was going to do. And that does something for someone like me, you know, and it builds trust. It's a different type of trust rather than regular trust that you give to anyone. So. My name is Brigham. I'm from Superior Automotive Details, and I am Team CQUARTZ.